So example 1, write the fraction into simplest form, into an improper fraction. 2 3/4 and -4 5/9. Write that as an improper fraction. Improper fraction. Great, let's go ahead and pay attention, please. So how do I write a mixed fraction into an improper fraction? Yep. Yep. So you multiply denominator times the whole number and add the numerator, and then my denominator always stays the same. Okay. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3, 11 over 4. Good. Now, if it's negative, does anything change? No. Okay. So the main thing is we don't treat it as a negative number. We just know our final answer is going to be negative. So 9 times 4 is 36, and 36 plus 5, 41 over 9. And we make sure we just keep it negative. Do not treat that as 9 times -4, -36, because is -36 plus 5 the same as a +36 plus 5? No. Okay. And we always want to check, does 9 go into 41 4 times? Yes, it does. Okay. If we went the other route, it would never go in 4 times, right? All right. So looking at these types of problems here, okay, we have C plus 5 over C. So there's really 2 ways we can do this. C is like a whole number, right? So we could do C plus 5 over C. Isn't that just the same thing as C and 5 over C? Yeah. And now, how would I turn that into a mixed number? Multiply the C's and then add the numerator. So C times C is C squared. And what's C squared plus 5? C squared plus 5 over C. Right? And can I factor my numerator? Is this a difference of 2 squares? No, because that's a plus sign. So you're actually done. The second way is finding our common denominator. So if I have C over 1 plus 5 over C, what is my common denominator here? C. So the C over 5 stays, but what did I have to multiply 1 by to get to C? C, and what's C times C? C squared. And now we can go ahead and add, and C squared plus 5 is just our C squared plus 5, right? Does that make sense through there? Now, looking at B, this one's a little different. Why? Because it's subtraction. So when I look at subtraction sign, I always find my common denominator. I think that's the easiest way to do that, okay? So 5 is the same thing as 5 over 1. So what is my common denominator between 1 and x plus 2? X plus 2. So I have x plus 2 here, minus the second one is the same, which is really nice. And then what did I multiply 1 by to get to x plus 2? X plus 2, so I have to take 5 times x plus 2. And what is 5 times x plus 2? 5 times x plus 2 is 5x plus 10, right? And now, can we go ahead and subtract? Yeah, 5x can be subtracted with x. So what's 5x minus 1x? 4x. And then a positive 10 minus a negative 3. So positive 10 minus negative 3. Positive 10 minus negative 3. 13. Positive, right? And what is my denominator? X plus 2. And there you go. Okay. So with subtraction, I always find the common denominator so you don't have to borrow things and do all that fun stuff. Okay. when it's adding, you can just add them together and then do exactly our normal. So for example 1 here, or example 3A, we have addition and subtraction, right? So do you want to just go ahead and find all common denominator, or do we want to do what we just did in part A? All common denominator. So when I look at x is the same thing as x over 1, right? So what's my common denominator between 1, x minus 1, and x minus 1? X minus 1. So the nice thing is the other two fractions are the exact same because the denominator is the same. But let's go ahead and look at the numerator. What did I multiply 1 by to get to x minus 1? X minus 1. So I need to multiply x times x minus 1. And what is x times x? X squared. And what's x times negative 1? Negative x. So now, can we go ahead and combine like terms? Can we go ahead and simplify the numerator? Can x squared be combined with anything? No. So that's going to stay x squared. We have a negative x is going to be added with what? 5x. So what's a negative x plus 5x? Huh? 4x, good. Then we have plus a positive 2 minus a 7. So what's a positive 2 minus 7? Negative 5 over x minus 1. Now, do you think we're done here? No, because what can we do? We can factor our numerator, right? Because a is 1, we can go ahead and factor. So x. What times what is negative 5 that adds to be a positive 4? One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. So what times what is 5 that adds to be 4? Positive 5 and negative 1. And we have x minus 1 in the denominator. So can anything be simplified? The x minus 1s, and I'm just left with x plus 5. There you go. That is your final answer. So what do you guys think about that? Not too bad? So-so? Okay. All right, let's do C. Ooh, we have a plus 1, a minus 1, and 1. This changes our denominator, doesn't it? Yeah. What is my common denominator between a plus 1, a minus 1, and 1? A plus 1. What else? A minus 1. Anything else? Nope. So we have to have a plus 1 and a minus 1 in my denominator.
Ms. Cochran,
Yes.
I'm like, couldn't you, like, why do you have to do the A, like, why do you have to write the A twice? I'm like confused. Like, because you only write A plus 1 minus 1. Like, sorry, never mind.
Because remember, these are grouped together. As soon as you see a plus 1 and a minus 1, they're always grouped together when you have that plus or minus sign.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then when we find our common denominator, we list everything in common and then everything that is not in common. And so since we had nothing in common, we just had to list everything again. Okay. All right. So if I look at a plus that first fraction, my denominator is a plus 1, but I need it to be a plus 1 and a minus 1. So what do I have to multiply to the numerator? A minus 1, right? And how we double check is if I take a minus 1 over a minus, don't they cancel out? And aren't I back to my original fraction? Yeah. And then distribute. 3a times a is 3a squared. And 3a times a negative 1 is negative 3a. What's different with my second fraction? The a plus 1. So we have 2 times a plus 1. And what's 2 times a plus 1? 2a plus 2. Oh, and I put a plus sign there. This is a minus. And then I had 1, and now we have a plus 1 times a minus 1. So this is just a plus 1 times a minus 1. Isn't that a difference of 2 squares? Yeah. So what's a times a? A squared. And what's 1 times negative 1? Negative 1, right? I didn't have to do the outside inside because what would happen to those? They would cancel out, right? Because we have a positive 1a and we have a negative 1a. All right. Now, can we go ahead and combine like terms now? 3a squared, can I combine that with anything? Yes, a squared. And what are we doing to this a squared? Are we adding it or subtracting it? Subtracting it. 3a squared minus 1a squared. 2a squared. Good. All right. Then we have a negative 3a, a positive 2a. So are we adding the 2a or subtracting the 2a? We are adding it, right? So what's a negative 3a plus 2a? Negative a. And then we have a positive 2 and a negative 1. What are we doing here? Subtracting. So what's a 2 minus a negative 1? 3 over a plus 1 times a minus 1. Now, can we factor 2a squared minus a plus 3? Yes, we can. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you a guess and check way to try to see. Okay, if you like it. If not, we know our patterns for that, right? Okay. All right, so looking at this, okay, so to get 2a squared, the only way we can get that is by taking 2a times a, right? Because 2 is prime, the only thing is 1 and 2, right? Now, to get a positive 3, and we need to add to be negative, so we know these both have to be negative, correct? Okay. What's the only way to get a 3? What is the only way to get to a 3? 1 and 3, right? So I'm going to either put 1 here, 3 here, or I could put 3 and 1 here, right? Now, for this, remember, we have to multiply, but we have to add to be this negative 1, right? So to get this negative 1, isn't that the O and the I part of my fraction? Okay, so, or my FOIL. So if I multiply, if I take 2a times 3, what do I get? 6a. 1 times a is 1a. Is 6a and 1 going to add to be 1? No. So let's check the other way. 2a times 1 is negative 2a, right? What is, 3 times 1? Negative 3. So we have negative 3a and a negative 2a. Does that add to be negative 1? No. So can we actually factor this? No, we cannot. So we are actually done with this problem. Okay. That's a guess and check. If we go the other way, do you want to do it the other way? 2 times 3 is 6. What times 6 adds to be negative 1? Nothing, right? Because you got negative 2 and negative 3. Nope. Negative 1 and negative 6. Nope. So we can't factor it in that way too. Okay. All right. Any questions with that so far? All right. B. What's different with B and D? Parentheses. Okay. What else? One multiplication and one's division. All the other ones we're adding and subtracting, right? If we have two quantities being multiplied, what do we always do? FOIL, right? This is in factored form, so we would FOIL it, right? So do we know how to FOIL? Yeah. What's y times 1? Y. We're going to take y times this, right? Now, if we're taking y times a negative 1 over y plus 2, could we do that? Yeah. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative, so we'll have a minus sign. And then y is the same thing as y over 1, right? So what's y times 1? Y over y plus 2. Right? What's a negative times a positive? A negative. And this is the same thing. What's 2 over y plus 1 times 1? Isn't that just 2 over y plus 1? You guys okay with that? Now, a negative times a negative is a positive. And we multiply straight across. So 2 times 1 is 2. And we're going to take y plus 1 times y plus 2. You guys okay with that? Now we're adding and subtracting. Can we find our common denominators? Because y is the same thing as y over 1, right? So let me ask you, can we find our common denominator between all of this? Yeah. What does everything have in common? I see a y plus 1, bless you, and a y plus 2. Anything else? Just the 1, right? So everything needs to go to y plus 1 times, oh, that's a minus sign. What do you guys notice about the last one? It is, so I'm going to leave that 2 there. Okay. All right, I'm going to do this one first. Let's do this one first. What's the difference between y plus 1 and y plus 2? Y plus 2. So am I going to multiply 2 times y plus 2? And what's 2 times y plus 2? 2y plus 4. Is everyone okay with that? Okay. What's the difference between the second one, y plus 2 to y plus 2 and y plus 1? Y plus 1, so I got to take y times y plus 1, right? And I get what? Y squared plus y. Okay. Now, what's the difference between the first one? All of it. So I have to take y times y plus 1 times y plus 2. Is everyone okay with that? How would I multiply these two out? How would I multiply y plus 1 times y plus 2 times y? Could I FOIL these ones out first? Yes, and I'm going to do it down here if that's okay. What's y times y? Y squared. What's y times 2? 2y. What's 1 times y? And 1 times 2? 2. Combine like terms. What's 2y and 1y? 3y. And then we still have to multiply by my y. So what's going to happen to everything? Multiply by y. So y times y cubed is, or y times y squared is y cubed. What's y times 3y? 3y squared. And what's y times 2? 2y. Is everyone okay with that? Kind of got a little crazy there. A lot of work. You notice these aren't, I don't think they're necessarily difficult. They're just long. You guys agree with that? It's long. Okay. Now let's go ahead and combine like terms. Y cubed. Do I see y cubed with anything? Nope. So I'm just going to rewrite y cubed. 3y squared and y squared, right? Yep. So what's 3y squared minus y squared? 2y squared. Okay. So we're done with these. 2y, y, and 2y. So what's 2y minus y, and y minus 2y? What's y minus 2y? Y positive or negative y? Negative. Okay, because we have 2 minus 1 minus 2. So 2 minus 2 is 0, and then we still have that negative 1, right? Okay. And then what else do we have left over? We have this 4 and this 2. However, What's happening with this 4? Is it being added or subtracted? Subtracted. So we have a -4, right? Because we have to distribute the negative. So we have this -4 plus a +2. And what do we get? -2. And then we have y plus 1 over y plus 2. Can we factor a polynomial? Yes. And how do we factor a polynomial? Cut it in half. We group the first 2 and we group the second 2. What's my GCF between y cubed and 2y squared? Y squared. And what am I left with? Y plus 2. Okay. What do I factor out of the second one? -1. And I'm left with a positive y and a +2. Are these two groups the same? Yes, which is great. So we rewrite that one. And then we have our GCFs of y squared minus 1. But what do you guys notice about y squared minus 1? What do you guys notice about y squared minus 1? Isn't it a difference of 2 squares? So how would I factor y squared minus 1? Y plus 1 times y minus 1 all over y plus 1 times y plus 2. Oh, what do you guys notice in common? I see the y plus 1s can be canceled, the y plus 2s, and what am I actually left with? Y minus 1. So out of that entire multiplication, we ended up with just what? Y minus 1. Kind of crazy, huh? Yeah, they get to that. All right, one last one, and then we might just stop after this. We might move everything back a day. All right, let's look at D here. So D, we have 1 minus 2 over A divided by 1 minus 4 over A squared. Now, when I go back to B real quick, actually, before that, we went ahead, we did a FOIL here. Is that the only way you could have done that? Do you guys think? Is that the only way I could have done D? No. Could I have combined these and then multiplied them? Yeah, we could have done that too. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm actually going to combine what's inside my parentheses first before I actually divide. Is that okay? So last time we FOILed, then combined it all, but we could have combined it, then multiplied, right? So let's go ahead and do that here. What is my common denominator between 1 and 2 over A? A, right? So let's make these over A. The nice thing, 2 over A stays 2 over A. What does 1 become? Isn't that A over A? Yeah. So now, what's A minus 2? A minus 2 over A. You guys okay with that? Now, what does 1 minus A squared? What is my common denominator for that one? A squared, right? So the 4 over A squared stays the same. What would I have to multiply 1 by to get to A squared? A squared, because isn't A squared over A squared 1? What is A squared minus 4? A squared minus 4 over A squared. Now, real quick, can I factor A squared minus 4? What does A squared over 4 factor to?
A plus 2, A minus 2.
A plus 2 and A minus 2. Perfect. A squared. All right. Now, we're dividing this. Can we divide fractions? Or can we divide any fractions? No, we keep it, we change it, we flip it. So A minus 2 over A times A squared over A plus 2 times A minus 2. And I went ahead and factored before we flipped it, and that's okay. So now, is there anything we can cross simplify? Yep. A minus 2's. Anything else? The A's, right? I could take 1A here and A squared becomes A. So what do I have left in the top? A, and what do I have left in the denominator? A plus 2. Okay. Does anyone want to see part B done without foiling that we just did? No? You like the foiling? I probably would have done it this way before I foiled, actually, even though I saw foiling first. Okay. All right. Is there any questions with this? No. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and change our homework assignment a little bit. Okay. So we'll stop here. So your test is not going to be Monday. It will be Thursday next week. Okay. Your test will be Thursday next week. So let's go ahead and do page 271, and let's do 1 through 39 odd, just to keep practicing. Okay. And I gave you all the odd problems. So what does that mean you have to do? Well, show all work, plus I need you to check it. Okay. So check. So what will happen next week? Okay. So Monday, today's just Monday, right? Okay. So Thursday. Okay. Wednesday, you guys have a quiz over what? 4.4 and 4.5. So it's just least common denominators and then adding and subtracting. Okay. Thursday, we will now do the 6.7, the long division. Okay. Then Monday next week, we will review. So as you guys look up, that review assignment will be moved to Monday. If you're in class, those at home, you don't see that right now because you don't see my board. And then, let me stop